Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's edition of the NeQter Town Hall. Um, as I'm sure many of you probably know, we recently put out another one of our quarterly updates, version 2.22.0. A lot of good fixes and changes here that I think, especially those of you who like making saved searches, will enjoy, as well as anyone who may have been experiencing any issues with Office 365 logs. A lot of changes there as well, and some new integrations that were built in. Patrick is going to walk you guys through everything new with the 2.22 update, as well as I'm sure some updates on CMMC and a future update plans we might have ready to share with you guys. And then, of course, as always, we will open it up to a Q&A at the end, so feel free to ask us any questions you might have. Patrick, I will pass the mic over to you, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, so going to be going over update 222, just getting a live look at the demo system that we have, just to see what those new features include, or improvements that we added. I'm actually down right now in Reston for CS2. Was in DC yesterday for CMMC Day, so still able to do the webinar while traveling, just to show everyone what's happening and keeping everyone up to date on NeQter. So yeah, so we're going to review 222, get our eyes on it, and also take a look at just to keep pace with the ecosystem updates. And then, of course, as always, there will be a Q&A. Of course, if there's any questions in between, feel free to jump in and comment or leave a question, and we'll get to them. So for update 222, we added in support for Ubiquity. So with Ubiquity, just like with any other syslog ingestion, you can go into inputs and select Ubiquity from the dropdown. There's a few different areas that we're able to see with Ubiquity, um, including not just firewall and just kind of regular information like that, but if you're using any access points, we can see those logs, those connections, those up downs essentially, or connected devices. So if somebody's coming in and using phones and what have you, we're able to see that. Um, Additionally, we did add certain alert templates for Ubiquity that we can take a look at. So actually just wanted to, and this is one that we're using, but just wanted to kind of pull up just to put a face to the name with Ubiquity. So just accessing here. Um, so again, like I mentioned, going into settings, adding that new input, and then for Ubiquity, we can see all of the different. So it's not just going to be firewall side of things, switches, access points. We're able to see all of those types of events. If there's any security detection or triggered rules, we're able to see that for Ubiquity as well, including ports and everything that you kind of come to expect from a syslog input with NeQter. Outside of that, one of the big things, or one of the things that were routinely requested, is going to be the SSP import export. So there's a couple things of note when it comes to the export. Number one, if we just open up here and go to a system security plan, um, we'll just go to this one here, CMMC. So if we go to export something, we'll go to report and data here. And now under export, we have template as an option. So when you generate this, when you kind of download the template, it's going to have um, all of the in terms of the export, we have the control, we have the status, response, and then a notes field. So if you needed to move between nectars for whatever reason, or of course, if you're moving from, on-prem nectar to maybe utilizing the nectar policy cloud, where we have the compliance tool hosted up there if you want to move back and forth, or of course, if you are moving from an existing tool and you want to kind of format and uh, grab that already existing work and import it into Nectar, well, that's going to be so if we go back to Nectar here, if we wanted to create a new system security plan, we now have this area right here. I'll just zoom in a little bit, source, where of course prior you can click and select a framework, but um, if you have that document, so let me actually walk through that. You can go and upload it here. So if I go back to that previous that previous doc, and I go and I export and I grab that template. We're just going to generate that download document. So we'll download that right to downloads. And I go and create. I can open that up, give it a new name. We'll just do import example as the name. And like CMMC. So the document's gonna identify if it's a NIST or CMMC with that export with that template. If you're exporting it from Nectar, it kind of saves so you can import it later. And we create that SSP. We're going to have all of that same content. We go in and much like we had before, all of that same content right here, paste it in. The statuses are all updated the same. So, that's going to be how we're able to import and export. Of course, as you already know, if you need to transition between frameworks, like if you were using, I don't know, like a comply up or a future feed or some other GRC, and you had a NIST framework, you can import it under NIST, and then of course you can come in here and convert that SSP from the existing, if it's a NIST framework, and then we can move it to a CMMC version 2. So, you're not trapped with the framework. You can kind of move back and forth. You can move to and from. So that's what that feature looks like. Very straightforward. Obviously, when you are managing a template on your own, you need to make sure that of course we have it where like the statuses are locked to only the values that Nectar supports: non-implemented, implemented, partial, alternate, planned. So it needs to line up with that. Other than that, the text lines up fine. And then you can add additional notes that get added in as comments. So that's that feature. So again, we support NIST Rev 2. CMMC level 1 and CMMC level 2 for that import export. The next big thing, and a lot of people have seen this already, and are kind of excited for it, is the alert highlights. And this is for any alerts that you have right now. As they show up, they kind of summarize for you at the top common fields or fields that you would like to see. So there's still the long list of details, but it also kind of summarizes for the top, so you can spot, okay, well, there was a failed login, but okay, here's the user that failed to log in. It IDs that right on the top, um, right on the top for us to see. So if I go into reports and I look at the alerts here, um, oh, okay, there. We can go and we can see, okay, click on the eyeball. So I have the summary here. Obviously, if you have an aggregation or if it's grouped by a field, it will get ID'd there. And then, of course, all of the different fields that we had before are going to be listed, but it gives you that nice summary at the top. We also did this for um, emailed alerts. So your email now will have a summary. So yeah. So if I go over here and I see login failure by user, I can see it's aggregated by a certain username. I can see the users that are matching for this alert. It gets summarized right here, and it tells me the number of times that it hit it, or essentially that event was detected by the search, by this trigger. So that's what we see with these highlights, as we're calling them. And then, of course, there is the same kind of highlight functionality in the email. So that same content is going to show up, in the email, and summarize for us, much better. So we can kind of spot check, see that in the email, and of course, you can, as always, include, much as when you're creating an alert, it's gonna ask you, do you want to include the event that triggered the alert, and then it will have that full description, that full list of different fields in there. Otherwise, it's going to have that new highlight that's in those emails. So now more than ever, it's crucial to go back if you need to, and structure your searches differently, or as I covered in previous webinars, going in and adding columns, or including fields. I can actually go real quick and show that just as a refresh. But so if I go into, say I go into Windows, and so up at the top, selected fields by default is just going to be source for the index. But if I start filtering stuff down and I wanted to save a search, maybe I want event action as a selected field. So now we have a little bit more structure where we have time and we have event action. So if I go and create an alert now, so if I go to alerts and create an alert from a saved search, and I select something, I'm going to want to, well, both with the alerts, aggregation is important, but in terms of these columns, in terms of these that get saved with the search, setting up and creating a report, a custom report, is going to be important, because I'm going to want to select this, use save search columns, and then therefore, instead of you making a custom report and having, so say there's 50 fields in an index, well, you're going to have 50 columns in the report. Once I make this selected fields and save that with the search, I'm only going to have the columns that I myself have selected right here. So now more than ever, having kind of curated saved searches is going to be important for, of course, the custom reports, as well as the alerting now with those alert highlights that we have both in the email and in NeQter directly. So outside of that, another thing, that NeQter that we did with 222 is the events index being available for NeQter or NeQter internal events. So this is going to be really great for tracking. So if we go to that index, NeQter events here, this is going to be, so this event action, I'm going to tell you right now, this is me logging in, or so this one specifically is a lockout event. But if I go and look at the last 30 minutes, and so I go over here, I have a log on, and this is me logging in. So into the demo. So if I wanted to see, admin logins or different stuff, um, I can go and create custom searches for the NeQter events or a log off action or different things. And we're going to be building this out more, kind of auditing the auditor here with NeQter, where every event or every settings change or something that happens within the NeQter tool, we want to make sure that there's a corresponding event and a corresponding event within this index. So then we can, if you wanted to, create reports or create alerts from NeQter. So that's why this index is important. So outside of that, there's kind of a list here of different things that I can point out quickly. So a few things, let's just start off at the top here. We numerically ordered the list of Windows event IDs in the agents area of the tool. So now, when you go into hosts and go into we go into agents here, and we look at a group, the Windows logs are now going to be numerically ordered. So if you have a large list, they're going to be in order by number. So just easier to visualize and easier to see in that regard. Additionally, when it comes to, so next item on the list here, going back to reports, alerts that you have within the NeQter tool. So I go into alerts here, are now alphabetical as well. So much easier to find alerts that you've created and want to identify and look for. This is all now alphabetical, and you can sort essentially by that. Additionally, we have, what else do we have here? Updated default report names. So that was actually a personal ask from me, because when you go in here, you make an on-demand report. Before, they kind of just had the same name. So if I wanted to grab a compliance change report right off the cuff on demand, it is now named on demand compliance change report. So it just includes that, just so if you maybe forget or just want to quickly get a report done, generate it, when we go back into the reports area, we can much more easily find it by searching the past reports area here. So there's that. So a lot of kind of quality of living updates with this update. Additionally, the Office 365 guide links are now updated in the documentation flyout. Speaking of the NeQter index, we added in NeQter logout events because people want to see when users log in and when users log out. We also added titles to the visualizations tab and the metrics tab. I thought, that was a little bit straightforward before, but now we just wanted to make clear cut. If you are, looking at a host and you open up the metrics tab here, we just have these labels so that you can better understand what that is informing you of. And one of the things as well that we added, so two last things, a refresh button was added to the events page. So if you are, kind of continuously looking at uh, at the reports area, and you want to know if a new alert comes in, well, you can simply hit refresh, um, and having the time structured till now, essentially, so you can refresh and see if anything new has come in to this area. And then lastly, um, there was always kind of a quality of detection um, meter or filter that you could add in the vulnerability scanner proper. So we've made sure that we've kind of re-added that into the hosts vulnerabilities area here, where now, so if I go and I look at the last let's see, the last year, so we can get some data in here. We now have, so quality of detection is set to 70, which it is in OpenVOS or the vulnerability scanner by default. But now we can adjust it. You can numerically adjust here. So if you wanted to kind of expand this out, and let's just put 0. So if we put 0, even informational level or log levels, or maybe things that it's less confident about. So maybe something hits the 50 percentile of confidence, it will show up in this list here. So yeah, so quite a few things that have been added into this update. Wanted to walk through them one by one in the demo system. Nick, has there been any questions or anything that you think might be better for me to drill down or go into?
No questions at the time, and I think you're doing a pretty good job of drilling down. I would say maybe the only thing that I've been highlighting for people on quarterly reviews is just kind of showing some examples of different types of saved searches you can create using the search filter, like the search bar itself, in addition to the filters. But um, other than that, we're pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's one of the things that we try to enhance. Um, so if we go kind of into the Discover area, because there was some, kind of certain aspects of searching that we wanted to make a little bit more dynamic. So if I wanted to, I'm just trying to think of a good one that I could go to. So so I forget if I still, yeah, okay. So we have G Suite kind of tied into here. So rather than, of course, relying upon filtering for a value in, by clicking over here or subtracting over here, um, I can go and say I just wanted to kind of type in my email, see all events in the last 24 hours, if there have been any, um, so I can see. So now highlighted here, actor email, these are certain events that I have. So I can actually see, town hall slides that's what I am showcasing on the demo today. But are there any certain kind of parameters, Nick, or like and or like what kind of things have you been showing people with the text-based queries?
I would say the biggest highlights for the text-based queries is just being able to get a little bit more targeted and use
Yeah.
based queries for things that are not indexes or not filterable, I should say. Just as an example, we did a failed logon query for one client to look for UDC failed login credentials so that they could see when people were failing to enter admin credentials for downloads and installs,
Hmm.
which I believe we did. The failed login for the administrator account on Windows with the filters, and then added the we'll start with the consent.exe tag on it
Hmm.
to create that.
Yeah, because so one of the things, and I forget if this was highlighted or I can highlight it now. One of the things that we added additionally was searchability for other inputs, making that much more dynamic, where essentially we copied the original source or ingestion and copied it into a text filterable field. So now if you are sending in switch data into an quote unquote other index, you can do any text-based queries that you want on the data and it should be able to search. So if you want to, so just to, for me to show, if I just wanted to show, town hall and have it find, so it didn't find the file because I didn't spell it all out. But if I go and I put asterisks here, um, or town hall slides, it should be able to kind of pick up. Yeah. So if I did an exact query, so town hall slides with the quotation marks, now I can see that file. So rather than me sifting through and trying to find the file in the logs here, I know the name of the file. Um, if I wanted to go and say, you know what, I forget if I called it slides. I just know that it's town hall related. I can I'm just trying to remember here in terms of adding in, the asterisks. So, oh, I didn't like that. But, trying to go in and find different things so that I can pull up, um, different searches, or as Nick was saying, specific outcomes, especially when it comes to Windows, especially when it comes to 365 or even Workspace. There's a lot of details in the logs that you can now extract with searching, and now we have it too, where before when we were doing custom searches, um, it would be reliant, custom search that turned into an alert, it would be predominantly reliant on filters. So I needed to find a filter or construct a filter rather than just using the search bar. So now if I wanted to, say I wanted to take that town hall slides and save that as a search, well, now it's taking that text query and saving that in the search, and then I can call that up when it comes to an alert, and it will find that, so that I can make an alert right here. You know what, I want to get an email every time town hall slides has been accessed, or I want to create a report right now of every time town hall slides has been accessed. So yeah, the search bar is your friend, um especially when it comes to designing some of the different ways to query, of course, including different operators. Um, as you know, when you are filtering, there are different ways to edit the filter and change the operator, such as, is something or is not or is one of, and then you can make a list of things. But you can actually, so it takes a little bit of effort, but you can actually do that up here where I can say, you know what, I want to search town hall slides, or and then put something else, a name of a different file. Um, so so yeah, so that's what that looks like. And then of course, again, saving the searches, or if we go back into the index and really, the index area is the best way, or the discover area is the best way to construct these searches. Because I'll kind of take this, pin this, take this with me, and then I can, of course, add those columns, include those fields, and make my exportable reports much richer. Um, so yeah, and yeah, so outside of that, and oh, I see. I think there's a question.
Oh, yeah, I had the wrong one up there. So Nick is asking, can the text-based queries actually query keywords in the message of the event? For example, a firewall event detail doesn't follow a standard. So info and messages can be different, and there is not always a filter field that has what we may be looking for.
Yeah. Yep. So that's kind of what I was just talking about. So if I wanted to go, say, I wanted to go into a FortiGate here, and obviously there's a lot of different fields here. So that we break stuff down into: web filter, UTM, port. Um, but yeah. So if I wanted to search for um a particular, yeah, so if there's a message field, um we can search that, and kind of extract that out. um we have that in Windows, we have that in different, of course, and yeah, so with I just need to see, because I forget if the event.original is a key string value, or is a text string, because that's essentially what allows us to kind of search it. So that's what we did with the other index, is where instead of it being parsed, the message field is a text string, and then therefore is searchable. But of course, when it comes to something like a FortiGate or other things that we have, we try to extract out all of the different key values, all of the different things into individual fields. So then, if I did want to search, a URL that was coming up like that info space, I can search that, and and have that find it in a particular field, um, with that value. So if I do info space, and then of course put asterisks on either side, I can see that um, get highlighted, and get filtered down. So it really comes down to, sometimes it comes down to syntax of including or excluding things in order to find that in the logs area. But yeah, so outside of that, so kind of quite a few things to cover. In this update, one of the big things, at least for me, was the import export functionality of the SSP. But of course, we've gotten historically a lot of questions for Ubiquity inclusion. We didn't want to just do the firewall. We wanted to do all aspects of the switching and access points and everything the Ubiquity suite has to offer, or the Unify suite has to offer. So that's kind of everything. That is everything with the update 222. And then really hasn't been too much when it comes to CMMC the past at least in the last 4 weeks. I guess and maybe I'll include this next time. I guess the only things that we've really seen come out of Washington are announcements of false claims acts directly attributable to companies not adhering to uh NIST 800-171 and Spurs, and then of course now because those are the requirements within contracts. So we have seen false claims about incorrect SPRS or Spurs scores. We have so one of the ones recently was Morse Corp. Raytheon was announced this week in terms of a false claims act against one of their divisions with false claims. So those have kind of been the updates. And then we're just kind of waiting for CMMC with the, of course, 32 last year and now looking for 48 CFR this year, where it's going to be kind of formally written into contracts. So we're seeing how that shapes up. We're still waiting on that. Again, just to kind of, play the same song here with CMMC assessments. Just about every C3PAO that I know, and it's quite a number, quite a bit, are now kind of booked out for the year and are going into 2026. There are a few different customers, of course, that we know of, and then other companies that we know that have there's dozens of newly minted CMMC level 2 certified companies coming out. The past few weeks. So a lot of people are having success. A lot of people are getting validated with CMMC. So if you kind of want to be on that list, or just ask, hey, I've talked to C3PAO, have you worked with them? Do you know how they operate? Would you recommend? We're more than happy to handle that. We get those questions quite consistently. Or the question around, does this pass muster? Does this work? We're using this, outdated system, or we were thinking about doing our scope this way. How does that stack up? Would that pass? We can kind of give you our take on things, but also introduce you to someone who is in the assessor's chair and would kind of give the thumbs up, thumbs down. So, please feel free to reach out because I've actually had in the past couple of weeks some people say, "Hey, I am talking to this company," and I've had to say, I wouldn't recommend them. If you're looking to do X, Y, and Z, I would recommend this company because I've seen them do it, 50 times with their book of business. So yeah. So nothing too new on the front, really just kind of false claims acts coming out. We're going to see a lot more of those. Actually at CS2 today, the first talk was the lawyer that prosecuted the Morse Corp case. And by his estimation, there are hundreds in the docket that DOJ is working through over the next 12 to 24 months. So definitely definitely a hot topic. And then I guess the only other thing I didn't have time to add a short slide, but we were at CMMC Day yesterday. Saw a lot of people. That was a good kind of concise 1-day show, and then we're of course at Summit Sevens hosted CS2 event today just to see any news. Like just like I found out about that stuff with FCA. At least I'd seen the details prior when the kind of the news went out in the breakdown of what exactly happened. But uh, definitely getting more broad insight today about what the process looks like, how the whistleblowing process occurs, and is protected, and so on and so forth. But then also just kind of the aggressive and um, motivated nature of the DOJ to prosecute these cases. So definitely some food for thought. But yeah. Uh, Any other comments or questions or concerns that have come through, Nick?
No, not so far. Nothing in the questions or the chat.
Okay. Anything else from your end that you can think of, or do you think we might be good to wrap up?
I think we might be good to wrap up. Like I said, really the only thing that I've been getting questions on and kind of directing a little focus towards was kind of what Nick was already asking about earlier
Mhm.
that you addressed. With that search bar feature having not been working properly with custom reports and alerts, it wasn't getting heavily utilized. And now that it's fixed, a lot more people are starting to use it more and leverage the advantages that it gives you. So, um, on that note, anyone here who needs some help, like I think Patrick mentioned earlier, with creating stage searches, especially if you need to do something with the search bar and you're not familiar with it, please reach out to myself. Between me and our support team, we are more than happy to help you guys build out the stage searches that you need. You can either bring them up on a quarterly if we have one coming up, or if you need a separate dedicated session, just shoot me an email. Um, and we'll set up a time to, specifically walk through as many as you need. And then once you feel comfortable, we'll release you and let you, run wild with it. But, I guess, Pat, thank you so much for doing today's webinar, even though you're having fun at CS2. It was nice to take some time out of your day to, still
Yeah,
create.
it's fun. It's definitely a lot, just a lot of face to face. Actually, I'll just pull up this this picture here. Yesterday at CMMC Day, we did a raffle for the because it was, of course, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So for Revenge of the 5th, we had a raffle for a Lego set. But yeah, it's always good to see people in industry. If I saw you, if you're on the webinar today and I saw you yesterday or this week, it's always great to talk and see everybody and see what's going on, and really just trying to keep pace with with what's happening in industry, making sure that we're staying current so we can come on here and then let everyone else know, let you guys know what we're hearing.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
we did have one new
hmm
question just come in, Pat,
Oh,
before we wrap up.
hmm
Lorenzo was asking if the agent deployment will be improved to remove old agents, which I believe, Lorenzo, feel free to send something in the chat. You should be referring to the 2.11.5 agent versions, as anything after that should be getting overwritten by the 219 agents already. But Pat, I'll pass that question over to you for more detail.
Yeah, I think you've seen that a lot, or actually quite more than me, Nick. Yeah, there's historical agents, at this point, or agents that are like you just mentioned, 211.5, that are years old at this point. There was not a mechanism for removal. Essentially, when it comes to the newer agents, like you mentioned, Nick, The subsequent version updates of an agent is going to overwrite the previous agent, and essentially we leave a identifier behind so that it can reinstall, see the identifier, re-ID that host and show up and have the host show up the same within on the NeQter platform side. But yeah, if we're dealing with old agents that are years old, like that 2.11.5, there isn't a mechanism that we have currently to remove those. Those will have to be kind of removed separately or outside of the purview of NeQter. But yeah, over the past, year or two and moving forward, it's going to be the new process of, kind of, um, overwriting and making it much more neat and buttoned up. So, um, but yeah, if you want to, I don't know if there's something that we could help with that. As always, if you want to open up a ticket, Lorenzo, so we can kind of see if there's something that we can help with, or if there's a better way of deployment, please send us a ticket for that.
Yeah, and the good news is, just to touch upon those old agents and the new agents even further. If you have the newer agents already deployed, for example, with the 219.1 agent, um, most of the time, what is going to happen if you had the 2.11.5 agents on there is it will more than likely just create a duplicate, and you can go through and manually remove the 2.11.5, and the 219 agent will already be there. Um, if that is not the case, then definitely open up a support ticket so that we can review your GPO deployment for the 219 agents and make sure that those are going out to all of your assets correctly. And then they can, also walk you through the process of removing the 211 agents while they're on there. Um, so that would be that would be my advice for that. Oh, I just saw two chats pop up. Okay. Yep. Yep. Lorenzo, I see your chats. Okay. Um, yeah, if you run into any issues, just email myself or support with that, and we'll help you out right away.
Yeah, but yeah, otherwise, I thought that this would be a little shorter because we covered stuff last month, but no, it was great to go through everything. Um, and we try to be as thorough as possible. As a reminder, these are recorded and will be put up on YouTube. But otherwise, we'll kind of look to chat next month. I think this is another webinar in the books. But yeah, Nick, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, no, I think we're good to wrap things up here. I guess if we wanted to give it another minute or two to see if any other questions pop in, we can. But I know you have CS2 adventures beyond, so I don't want to hold you up too long. I don't know if you can leave it open, and I can sit here for the rest of the time and grab any questions for you as well.
Yeah, I think I can do that. And yeah, I'm going to a talk by the very knowledgeable Scott Goodwin. Nice technical deep dive track. So I'm definitely going to be headed to that shortly. That's what you can say about CS2. They have some really good knowledgeable speakers and a technical track, which I always like to deep dive with. So. Um, But yeah, no, I think we're good. So we'll see everyone next month, hopefully. If not, again, these will be recorded. So in case you miss it, for you're on vacation, since the weather's getting nicer, you can always pop in and check it out. And otherwise, we'll talk in June. Thanks so much, everybody.
Yep. Thank you guys. I will stick around just for the last 10 minutes here and let Pat go off to his adventure. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. If you guys start dropping off like flies, I'll just close it up. And you guys can all have an excellent rest of the day.